All right, ladies and gentlemen. Can, all right. Or is that him? If that's him, I'm gonna pivot back to, nope, no, okay. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the February 10th Tuesday Finance meeting. At this time, I will yield the floor to Chairman Keller.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. The first item on our agenda this evening is consideration of a resolution to accept the offer and acceptance to purchase the office building next to the existing Citicorp office located at 329 South Commerce. And this was submitted by Citicorp.
I'm
going to move for some discussion so we can figure out some more about it.
I want to bring in an appropriation so that the city can buy this building instead of Citicorp. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, 100-year lease?
No.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mallett, what can you, could you state your name for the record and then just...
I'm Steve Mallett,
know about it.
General Manager with City Corporation. And what you have before you is an offer and acceptance to purchase office building that is next to our current City Corporation office. Our office is located at 205 West 3rd. This is the building located at 329 South Commerce. It's been several businesses over the years. Most recently, ProLand Title was in there, and they moved to the 500 building, and so it is vacant. A little bit of backstory. We were considering, when we bought the Polk County Complex buildings in the back, we purchased 1.5 acres to allow us to drive out to Sydney versus going out to Weir Road. Just one, it was shorter, and two, that keeps us from taking all our traffic out to Weir Road, which is a little bit busier. But it was also large enough for us to consider building a new admin building there. So we thought we would have an admin building right next to all of our facilities, all of our field services, and have pretty much one large campus. So we were getting some preliminary numbers for that, and I never seem to be surprised by quotes, but if I don't know if y'all have the email in front of you, but the first preliminary estimate I got for what would have to be a multi-story building was $12 to $14 million. So I just told everybody in my office just to get comfortable where we're at, because I didn't see me carrying that to my board or this council to ask for a $12 to $14 million building. Well, I'll admit there's a lot of fluff in there. I told them that if we took that down to bare bones, you know, what number we're looking at, and they said, oh, probably still close to $8 to $10 million. And to be totally frank with you, we have a lot more pressing needs in our system than in a new office building. So, silly me, I was thinking it was probably $4 to $5 million. We'll build us a nice, and I guess maybe if we had the room to spread out and make it all one story, possibly. So we started looking at what we could do at our current building. We've had remodeling plans for 20 years, and we've never pulled the trigger on them because we weren't sure exactly long term if we were going to stay there. This being a good example. So we looked at expanding our office, and it's pretty tight in there now. We've got a lot of temporary walls and temporary offices. But if you'll notice on the map that you have, our existing service building office, which is also in the pink, that was where our meter shop was. And so it's a pretty crude, office building, workspace area, kind of dirty office shop. But we were looking to remodel that and move our engineering office, a 4-member engineering office, into that remodeled space. Which would take up about half of that building probably, if even that, and then the other half might be something in the future. So we were in the process of looking at getting remodel costs for that, but based on remodel costs that I've seen for other facilities we have, I would imagine that's probably going to be in the $250,000 to $300,000 range just to get offices in that area. And in the meantime, ProLand moved out of the proposed engineering the engineering building right next to us, basically across the fence that we put up. And so I just called Chris Abington and said, you know, who owns the building? Is it for sale? And he said, well, I'll call and see. So he made a quick phone call and came back and said, well, it's not really for sale, but he said he would sell it for $200,000. And I said, well, if he's willing to sell it for that, I would ask that you put an offer and acceptance together, and I'll take that to the board and see if they want to pursue that, because that's a ready-made 4-office building structure that, again, adjoins our property. And we've looked to buy that building several times over the years, but again, never pulled the trigger on it. So I actually was surprised that it was that low, just based on the prices I've seen on other similar buildings. So I went to our board and told them that was what we'd like to do and how we wanted to move forward. And then we could expand, move our engineering forces into that building. They have a lot of drive-up traffic that is specifically for them that we have to route through the front office and such. Now they'll have a separate office where they can have people to come in and look at maps and look at orders that they have and ask questions. So they would be basically on the same facility. We could rework our parking, which we've been wanting to do for quite some time. And so that would be our proposal versus spending likely more money to have a less functional facility, because all of the HVAC in that one building was built for a large building. So we'd have to zone all of that. That was the first thing we were getting a price on, and that alone may have been half of what this building cost. So this is kind of ready-made sitting there for us. It will allow us to spread out our accounting office, which right now is just a bunch of cubicles on top of each other, provide a little bit of privacy in our building, plus allow some other room for growth. And then our service building office, at some point in time, if we wanted to have some type of a training center, we would just use that same slab and probably start from scratch there and have a training center that we could use, that the city could use, the public could use. But that's not in this proposal, but that would be a very valuable use for that space in that building moving forward. So we would look at that. The only other thing I would mention is in the green, there is an old 2-story, to put it nicely, dated house that I'm not sure anybody lives in or anybody can live in it. Obviously, we would be interested in buying that at whatever time it hit the market. And go ahead, and then the city would own that whole block. And that would be our permanent home, and there wouldn't have any reason to leave. And the more I started talking about staying there, it was kind of surprising how everybody wanted to stay there, because they like where we're at. They like being by City Hall, moving out there in the middle of all that and being by our field services. While it would have some advantages, obviously probably have some disadvantages as well. So that's what we'd like to do moving forward. That, to us, it seems to be kind of a gift, a bird's nest on the ground that just kind of came out of nowhere at the right time, and so we'd like to move forward with that. Obviously, our board has approved moving forward with the purchase contingent upon your approval. Are there any questions about that?
So it's not necessarily about this building, but when you purchased the property that had the old county shop on it, with that parcel that you were planning on putting offices on there, are you planning on keeping that parcel still, and so one day down the road you're going to maybe put something there, or are you going to like leave it as just an empty lot, or are you going to sell it to see if maybe someone else wants to develop
Well,
it?
it depends on, that we don't plan on, if the city needed to build a center there or something someday, obviously that's property. But if someone had an interest in it and wanted to buy it, we would have no reason to keep it. But we do want to build our road, and so we would like to keep that section. I'll have to get with Glenn how you can keep, part for a road and probably put up a fence, and I'm sure that we'll have to do some things to be able to manage that. And then the remainder, probably a little over an acre that would be there. I don't know that we would list it, but it would be for sale, or if there was another use for it. I don't think, if we spend the time and effort to develop where we're at now, I don't see us ever using something like that. Doesn't mean somebody down the road couldn't want to build a giant, Taj Mahal there, but that's not something I'm interested in, so.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Mallett?
So do you not anticipate any remodeling costs, or you feel like it's pretty close to move-in ready, or?
My folks would like to move one wall about 4 or 5 feet, but they looked at the HVAC and the vents and everything, and they feel like we can do that with in-house staff. The parking lot and everything outside is pretty much ready-made. There's no work to do there. They think at most, if we had to replace the floor, maybe $6,000, but I don't think we're even looking at doing that. The floor seems to be in great. It's actually in really good shape, just as it sits. HVAC is in good shape. We may have to put a new roof on it at some time in the next few years, but other than that, it's out. We had butler, Shane, coming over, and his guys looked at the HVAC and said it was in good shape. So, and it's really pretty simple layout. There's not a whole lot to it, so there's not much that can go wrong. So, so we were excited about the opportunity to finally get to purchase it. The real estate agent said that's a good price. I noted that. So, yeah. And I think that being commercial property in a non-commercial area it really benefits us and nobody else, because I think that's why folks would rather be downtown than kind of stuck in a neighborhood like that. So it works for us.
Is there any further discussion on item 1? Hearing none, I move item 1 forward to the full council with a recommendation of approval.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of forwarding item 1 to the full council with a recommendation of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Item 1 is forwarded. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Mallon. Item 2 on our agenda is discussion regarding card CPI rate increase. Mr. Mayor, yield the floor to you.
I had, at the request of the council, had invited Cards representatives to come and visit with us tonight. I know some of you we had some concerns about what CPI was used, and also there were some concerns that were not CPI related that some of you wanted to convey. So, yes, sir, if you would state your name for those that are watching at home, and the council, if you have any questions or comments for the Cards representatives.
Yes, sir. My name's Curtis Lovell. I'm the general manager in the River Valley for Cards.
Thank you for being here. I was one of those who had a question, and I spoke with you beforehand, but just to make it public, was one of the things in our contract was that we would have a local person answering the phone. It's been my experience when I've been calling in, when people call me that something was missed. When I called in, I was talking to Northwest Arkansas, so that's in our contract, and we'd like to make sure that that's rectified.
Absolutely. And what we have, I have the local number. What we can do is actually post that online and make it available for the city, which, yeah, we can do that immediately.
I do want to say that I had an issue, and I called the local number that I found online and got someone in Northwest Arkansas.
Okay. We have a direct line, and so, and we'll make sure that the internet, you may have Googled it, we'll make sure that that's updated as well, the local number.
Mr. Olson's not here tonight, and he's the one that's more familiar with the CPIU. Can you tell us, and maybe that may be coming from above Northwest Arkansas even, where that CPIU is being used. I know that was a concern. I know it was negotiated in our contract by Mr. Smith that we would not see anything larger than a 5% increase, but you guys are showing that the CPIU on the information that you provided was 5.4, and there were some questions on if that was the correct. When you look, I believe there were five numbers there, 5 columns, and that was just wondering why we were using that particular column to generate that number. Did that make sense, Mr. Keller, or do you have something to?
Oh, no, I think unfortunately the time to discuss which of the CPIs we would use would have been at the contract
No,
point. I think I know that I was one of the folks that had a question, and that was because that night the only thing that we could find for the CPI was like a 4.8 increase.
Well, I think
So,
the question was
we've since found it,
why
so.
the particular column. No, the CPIU is an agreement. It's in the contract. But even on the CPIU, I think there was a question that why that particular column was used when it, and some people say that that's not traditionally the one used. And maybe you can answer that, or maybe you can't.
As far as the CPIU, that is the standard that
Yes.
we do use. But as far as, I mean, you have a 5% cap, so it's not the 5.4%. And I would have to, I'm not familiar with the line that you're talking about on that, and I will familiarize myself with that.
Okay.
But you do have a 5% cap. It won't be no more than that.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions while Mr. Lovell is here?
Well, if we have a 5% cap, then where does that leave us?
At 5%.
At 5%,
Yeah, at 5%,
okay.
yes,
Okay,
yes. Yeah.
good.
That's what they had proposed. They acknowledged that we had negotiated a 5% cap, and that's what they had asked for. They were just showing that the CPIU number that they were using was 5.4, and they were noting that they were capping it at 5%.
Okay.
So,
So in the contract, there were a couple other places where the rate could increase if certain things happened. I think like if the dump where you guys take it, if their fees go up so much, you guys can recoup that through blah. Are there anything other than the CPI increase that you guys are increasing the rates on this year?
We got a 5% increase at the landfill, and that's exactly what it's just a pass-through charge. So, yeah, we're not benefiting anything from this.
If I could go back for a second, you answered the question regarding the local person answering the phone. You said you have a local number that you will provide. Where will that local number be accessible?
We'll put it on the internet. I mean, I can actually, if you want it for the record, I can say it right now.
if you would just email, go ahead, and you can say, go ahead and say it right now if you would, but then we'll,
Yeah, it's 479-229-2442.
229-2442.
And you'll get Miss Ruth, and that's Richard's wife.
Okay.
Everybody knows Richard Harris. And
229-2442. That's a good old Yale County Dardanelle number.
sure is.
So, and so we will put that, Mr. Hodge, if we would, be sure that that makes that to our city website, and then I will make sure that James Darling gets that on our phone tree to make sure that that's where we're directing to. So,
And I just wanted to add while I'm here, I don't get this opportunity to see y'all as much as probably should. We love this city. Richard's been in this market for a long, long time, and I would consider Richard a staple. I told Mr. Paul that Richard's a staple in this market and does a great job. And so we actually got Richard's direct number. We're accessible. That's what makes us special, and we're excited, and we're here for the duration. So.
I have one. We are used to direct-to-consumer communication when there are issues, so like via text message. So whether there's a weather change or a holiday or something, I know in my ward, and I'm assuming in other people's wards, if you guys don't pick up on the day, the first communication I get is from people complaining about that.
I understand.
And which is, I signed up to do that, so I'm not complaining about that. What would be nice is if there was, the previous provider would send a text message to all customers. It's going to be late today because of ice, or it's going to be, there'll be a 2-day delay or a 1-day delay. That I have not received much of that communication. If you're putting it out there, maybe there's something I didn't sign up for that I should sign up for, but I would assume if I didn't, a lot of other people also didn't. So,
Yeah. Nathan, I'll look into that, and I'll follow up.
we did have 2 rave
Yeah, I
alerts
got-
go
I got
out.
messages
I think we
from
had
the
2 rave
snowstorm,
alerts go
yeah.
out, so we did. So.
And then as far as the predictability of the weather, it makes it really, I mean, our intention every day is to run, and that's, but then,
the weather's not so
Yeah.
much a concern as it is, I know that there are people not getting the information.
right.
And because I was one of them. So any way we can send out communication to, I mean, I know Citicorp has my number, and I'm assuming that's the same, I mean, we had talked about that being the same.
Yes, yeah, that's what we did use. We used a rave alert through Citicorp. Not sure what happened there, Mr.
We
George.
could just maybe send out another, hey,
Absolutely.
thanks for, make sure you have this alert system on your device or whatever.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Speaking of, while we've got you here, first you said you don't get to see us that often. Man, we're here every month.
Yeah.
You are more than welcome to come hang out with us, bud. We're a lot of fun. Second thing is, during the contract discussions, one thing that was brought up was that Cards was going to do outreach within the community regarding recycling, what was allowed, what wasn't, how to make sure that if you put something in recycling that it's actually recycled as opposed to, just hoping that the dirty pizza box will make it to,
Absolutely. Yeah.
to turn into an iPhone one day. Are there plans to fulfill that part of the discussion that CARD said that they were going to do? That's my first of two questions.
I'll have to look into that. That's the challenge that every city faces where we provide recycling services. It's definitely not always clean, and so that outreach that you're talking about, we will definitely look into that. And if that was part of the contract negotiations, we'll be following up very fast.
We have someone in-house that you can work with. Our Director of Sustainability and Resilience, Sarah Johndal's got
She's reached out.
working on those kind of issues, the recycling issues, so that would be a good point
Yes,
of
sir.
contact for CARDS to get in touch with.
Yes, sir. She actually has reached out, and we've been in contact with the solid waste district as well.
And then just the only other thing I wanted to mention was, while you're here, is that more than one person here told stories about being contacted or seeing themselves where the recycling bin had been placed out, and then the trash truck came by and picked up the recycling bin and dumped it into the trash can, into the trash truck. I haven't seen that. I just wanted to bring it to your
No,
attention.
we run
and
a recycling route separate from the trash route. And
I'm
it's-
not saying that you don't. I
Right,
just was
right.
saying that that's what was said, and so
Yeah,
I
that's not a
wanted to-
practice that we, I would be interested to hear more about that if you got a specific time. I mean, the great thing about us, we have the cameras on the trucks, we can pull video, so if anybody was able to see that and give us a timestamp or time frame of when it would be, go ahead, Richard.
A lot of times, what's going on there is, if y'all haven't noticed, which I'm sure you have, the recycle cans were not marked. So we have people all the time putting their trash in the recycle, and they're recycling their trash. So a lot of times we just go ahead and dump the recycle can as trash so we can get them to start. That may be where it comes out, but we also, the truck drive in.
Okay, that actually brings up an excellent point. One, I didn't know they were identical, but two, in our discussion with during the contract negotiations with CARDS in the city, when it came to the recycling cans, it was stated that all the recycling cans were going to be labeled as recycling only. Now, I can say that I can say this for certain because this is at my house. When we first got our recycling can, it didn't have that. Now, it ended up accidentally, it ended up having to be replaced, and the one that we got was then labeled recycling only. What are the plans on going through and labeling the cans that are already out there?
We're in the process.
Okay.
I do it all the time. I got a whole stack of recycle only stickers, boop, right on top of the can road.
Perfect. That's wonderful.
The one that goes out and picks this stuff up,
Mr. Mayor, at some point a few months ago, we had a discussion about data sharing between CARDS or whoever our recycling, or whoever our trash provider would be with the city. Has that already taken place?
I'm trying to, can you clarify that question?
Well, I'm recalling this from vague recollection myself, so I remember that when we were discussing getting a new trash provider, there was discussion about whoever the company would be would take their data, their information with regards to the routes that they run and the customers that they serve, and share that with the city.
It's those reports
Was
that, Waste Management was doing the reports about how many, you'd have everything from missed routes or missed
Okay.
houses to total pickup and tonnage or whatever. So I don't know, are we getting those?
I don't think we're getting those. I think we were having major issues with Waste Management, so it was definitely more needed at the time. At this point in time, I don't think and I'm sure Mr. Harris, you can provide those if needed. I'm sure if we needed those.
But isn't that part of the contract, though? I think is that your question? I think
Yeah.
It was
that's
supposed to
part
be,
of the
I think,
contract.
weekly.
Yeah.
It was a continuation of the reports that were going to be weekly still. Are we not getting the weekly reports?
I'm not
still?
getting those. So,
Can we work
It's pretty-
on that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty standard. In Van Buren, we do a monthly report. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I'd like to see the language in the contract,
Yeah.
and I'll get real familiar with that.
that's exactly,
We
I'm
can- we
betting
can-
you got it.
We can provide some reports,
So-
just to keep you in tune with what we got going on.
Regularly, because the last time we had this issue, we had a boatload of people that were getting their routes missed. And I'm not saying that's been the issue more recently, but we just want to avoid that happening again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Anyone else?
Well, sir, I want to go ahead and thank you for coming out here.
Thank
Like I
y'all.
said, we're here every month, a couple times. You can come and visit with us anytime you'd like.
You got it.
But before you leave, I would like to acknowledge Cards and their help during the winter storm. I reached out to Richard Harris, and he was quick to respond, and we were able to place 3 roll-off dumpsters at multiple locations, and those were dumped more than once, and that made a huge difference for a lot of residents. They may have been able to get out themselves, but the trucks were not able to get into their neighborhood. So I think we did a really good job there navigating that storm. So I do appreciate Cards being a partner in that aspect. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I commend y'all's efforts. It was really nice to see how y'all came together as a community. It was a beautiful thing. So great job with that.
Yeah, Mayor, now you got, I will look for my call and wants to do that next time.
Sorry about that, Richard. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank y'all.
Is there any further discussion on item 2? Hearing none, we'll go to item 3, which is a discussion information session to renew the Metro Little Rock Alliance contract for 2026 in the amount of $7,823. I guess I'm going to move the way open this up for discussion. Yeah, I move we open this up for, okay. All those in favor of opening up for discussion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, we're open for discussion.
Mr.
Sorry.
Hausman, would you state your name if you don't mind?
Yep. Steve Hauserman, I'm the economic developer over at the Chamber of Commerce. Appreciate you having me here this evening, Council. We've been involved with MLRA I've been in the role for about 6 months. I think we've had the contract longer than that over the past year. My experience has been a great one. They've provided a lot of resource and support over the last 6 months in terms of economic development projects, workforce development. Most importantly, the data programming that they provide us. There's 2, essentially, I'd want you all to remember. One is going to be called MZ, and the other one is IMPLAN. MZ is an economic development modeling tool that we use to pull demographic data, wage data. If we have an industry out in town that is looking to go into negotiations on employee wages or something to that effect, we can provide them up-to-date wage comparisons per SOC code. So for every occupation out there that has an SOC, we can give them some really reliable data and give them comparison from years past as the economy, evolves here locally. So we use it all the time. I use it pretty regularly on a daily basis, and I've used it to support small businesses, the university, St. Mary's, industrial partners. I've had a phone call with one that was looking at a potential expansion and needed some community data demographically. We were able to provide that pretty quick. So that in itself, I know MZ is a pretty expensive program. It costs about $15,000. I think for a base package. So we see benefit in that on a daily basis. The second one, IMPLAN, is pretty important. That's going to be an economic development cost-benefit analysis tool that we use. So if we have a project coming into Russellville that's interested in developing in our community, we can run numbers on that project based on capital investment, tax revenue, job creation, and that gives us a pretty good gauge on whether or not that project is a good fit for the community. We obviously want to see an ROI, not just for the city and the county, but for our residents in job creation and wage growth. So we can exercise both of those programs on a regular basis, and I've done IMPLAN models in the past with other firms, and they can range anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. I've seen them go for $10,000, depending on the size of the project and data requested. So it's good to have that stuff in your back pocket. Outside of the programming that we use pretty frequently, there's a ton of training that they've provided us. I know we had Carol Johnson in last year, who's nationally renowned in economic development and sales. She's really good at conveying to communities like ours how we can sell the community and possibly attract new investment. This year, I know that the MLRA has expressed interest in inviting our mayors and county judges and other elected officials that may be interested in attending her lecture down in Little Rock this year. So, Mayor Teague, if you would like to join or anybody on the council is interested, let me know. I can try to get you on the list. I think we have 2 or 3 slots to bring folks down. Something else that is really nice, being part of this partnership, is we get access to site consultants across the United States and the world. In the last few months, I've been to Dallas. I met with JLL, Newmark, which then transpired into an RFI we received a couple months ago we've been working on. And we are getting access to a group of professional networks that otherwise would be a little bit harder for us to get into as a mid-sized community. And we try to exercise that as much as possible. They also do trips to Atlanta, and there's one going on in Chicago this year as well that we're going to try to tag along on. So those are pretty important. One of the biggest events that we hosted in the past year was the Site Selector Guild group came in, and that's a board that's nationally and internationally recognized, and Dee Dee Caldwell, who's one of the most world-renowned site selectors, was actually assigned to us. So we brought her to the city of Russellville, toured her around, showed her some of our excellent sites like the site-certified Butterfield location, which is out there in East End, and then obviously we have Elmira that's in the works. So she gave us a lot of great feedback. She put us in touch with some brokers and site selectors that have generated leads for us, and we explore those as they come up. On top of that, they do a tremendous amount of marketing for us. They have a newsletter where we can share some of our community information, whether it be sites or workforce data. And a lot of these projects are hungry for that kind of information. It's nice to kind of send an email out to them and they share it for us. They're also attending conferences like IRSC, Red River, which is a retail development conference. They go to SHOT Show every year, and they bring our materials with them. And if they're not bringing our materials, they're bringing one of us to attend those conferences and meet with those potential companies that would find value in locating to Russellville. So, as it were, MLRA has been a great experience from my perspective. I think the data that they provide us with Implant and MZ alone is worth the investment. I use it all the time, but the training, the access to site selector networks has been a great addition to that as well. So if you have any questions about our partnership and how I feel about MLRA, I'm happy to answer them.
I just want to say I just did a quick Google search. Before COVID, I did this same Google search to look at the median household income in Russellville. And then, if I remember correctly, it was around 39,000.
Yep.
And today, it's about 50,000. And so I think that a lot of the work, I know that the mayor said this when he was running for office, and a lot of us here on the council agree that we want that to continue to go up, because it increases a lot of opportunities for the people that live here, the residents.
Absolutely.
Especially since we have the university, we have the workforce training and development center. Does this $7,800 that we're about to spend on this hopefully help continue that progress that we have made up to this point?
Yeah. Tangible.
Yeah.
It is tangible. And I say that just in some of the meetings I've had with an industrial partner in our area, was looking at doing wages for their employees for the following year. And so I was able to pull every single SOC code that they have under that roof, and whether it's a maintainer or it's a shop floor guy or even a secretary that's sitting in an executive office, I can find out what the wages average, not just for Russellville, but suffice it to say they have plants in other areas of Arkansas, and we can make the argument that while cost of living is relatively low here, you're saving some money, but you can expand. That creates more opportunity for those employees, and that's an economic turnaround for the community. And then if those employees receive a higher wage off of that study, then that's good for everybody, right?
Hey, Stephen, what did you say the name of that program was that you said you use all the time? The one
Yes,
that-
ma'am. There's two of them.
MZ?
MZ, EMSI. You can also call it Lightcast.
Okay, I was trying to take notes on that and I missed that one. And what was the other one's name though?
Implan.
Okay.
And those are industry standard programs that economic developers use across the country. Smaller communities, it's hard because they are very expensive. It's usually for larger cities. But because of the partnership with MLRA, we have access to that through our partnership.
I say when we get options, when opportunities like this come up, we listen because cities and counties have, compared to the state and the federal governments, we have relatively few financial incentives to recruit businesses to come here. And it's something that I brought up about a year or two ago was what we could do to bring companies here that would pay workers more competitive salaries. And we have some tools, payments in lieu of taxes and some tax back agreements, but we don't have the kind of tax credits and tax incentives that the state offers. So when this first came up, when you guys first approached us, I think a year ago, all of us were certainly hopeful that you guys could help us achieve those goals. So I guess going to Mr. George's point, do you think that we can get our return investment on this? Not just to bring companies here, but companies that pay workers good salaries.
In complete seriousness, if one project is landed off this in the next 4 years, I think you'd see a return on investment in what you've spent. And the reason I say that, for the in-plan model, for example, if we were to run a cost-benefit analysis with that program, we can identify what the job creation is, the tax revenue off that over a set period of time, the capital investment that community is making, or that company rather. We can then build our incentives off of that, and it always keeps us in the green. We're obviously not going to offer incentives that are going to be a loss for the community.
Sure.
So, let's say it's 100 jobs, $5 million capital investment, let's say 30 million, and you run it through, and maybe we're offering the Butterfield property at a discounted cost. We recoup our money in the tax revenue that's generated off those jobs created, and the in-plan model has an algorithm that'll tell us, okay, after 3 years, the amount of money you forego, or the tax revenue you forego with incentives, is made up and then some. And everything after that is basically a net gain for the community, whether it's in tax revenue, job creation, whatever. So it's pretty deliberate and granular, and it helps us dictate whether a project is good for the community or not. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah.
Thank you.
So. And sorry, sir. I would also say, looking at state incentives too, typically these companies, if they're going to receive a tax back program incentive, they have to be paying 150% above the average wage of the community, or the median wage, I believe. So, there's some things that protect us there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
I am going to move that a renewal for the Metro Little Rock Alliance of the 2026 contract be put on the Finance Committee for next week with an appropriation, and that the funds come out of Fund 3.
Fund 23, I think we determined Fund 23 is going to be more beneficial. It's also an economic development fund.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Wait, are you making a recommendation for approval?
No, I'm just making a motion to put it on the, we don't have anything.
We
to
don't have it
approve.
on, we don't have it on
We
the
don't
agenda.
have,
Put it on the agenda
that's the thing,
first.
is we don't have anything on the agenda or anything. Well, I guess it's not even a motion, I'm just saying
Yeah.
that we're going
Put
to
it
have it
on-
on the
let's
agenda.
put it on there, yeah.
I guess that's all we need to do.
Yeah.
So, we're going to have it on the agenda. Awesome. That and the appropriation. And with that, that's the last item we have on our agenda this evening, Mayor. I yield the floor back to you.
All right, I'm going to adjourn for a couple quick minutes so that Mr. Hodge can change. We are adjourned.